Damn it. Hello and welcome to this first bit of our little review of the story of World of Warcraft and also some sort of Warcraft 3. Then the story of World of Warcraft started at Warcraft 3. So basically what I want to tell you is we start at episode 0, Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos. For everyone who don't know me, I'm Tyrod. I were once a veteran of World of Warcraft. I played Science Warcraft 3 as it came, not directly as it came out, but basically it was my first entrance into the whole Warcraft universe. And basically, we talk today about my journey and what Warcraft and World of Warcraft mean for me. As a lot of players, I played Science Classic and non-stop into Shadowlands. I'm never skipped out from Warcraft Classic to Shadowlands. In Shadowlands, where the first expansion where I said, I need some distance. I mean, we know all what happens to Blizzard at this moment, and also we come to this when we enter Shadowlands at the end, but we all know that the story there were difficult, to say it easy. But yeah, let's try to start with our journey in Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, and what a journey it was for me. Then I was at a time out of a game, so I searched a game that fitted me at the time at most. So I were my goth and vampire and dark face and edgy face, you know, and I searched something dark, a game that was like Vampires the Masquerade. I love that game, and that had a story that could me pull in with a dark world that is unfair and stuff. And then I get a demo of Warcraft 3. Yep. In one of our German gaming magazines, they had always like these little discs in it where there were some demos on it, or even full game. And there were Warcraft 3 in it, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. An orc, and you play like the demo version where you be on the islands of the trolls and fight this evil Naga witch and all of it. Pretty awesome. And yeah, I loved Thron from the beginning. He was a major character who was totally cool and stuff, and a brutal orc who fights for his people and for the freedom of his people and to find a living. And then later on, after I played the demo, and I was like, man, I want the full game. So I got into a gaming shop. You know, we had like past years, we had this little cardboard, this little box where there was a CD in it, and you install with the game. At the times now, there's not even a CD device in the PCs anymore. Yeah, I'm old. Anyways, then I started my journey into Warcraft, and oh boy, what was to come for me could not have expected. So when you start your journey, you have the decision between playing the tutorial, so orcs, and I was like, as I played the orcs in the demo, I was like, I'm loving the orcs. That's my race. I mean, I don't knew you could play in other race than the orcs at this time. You don't know it, you know. I was like, this is a journey about the orcs. I like this. He's on the cover. That must be it. And boy, oh boy, was I wrong. So basically, I played the tutorial and was like, damn, Thron is back, and this must be played before the demo. Nice. And you gather your people, you get a vision from a suspicious prophet that you don't know yet, and says, yeah, there's a bad thing coming. Guys, you need to get off this continent and go to basically the west, to Kalimdor. And Thron's like, okay, I mean, he's a farseer and a shaman, so he thinks like this the spirits talk him to warn him. And I was like, makes sense. I mean, why should I? It makes no sense. So, you know. So you rally your troops, you gather your people, and you send all to the other split members of the orc short. Guys, we packing, we going now. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And after you beat some gnolls and murlocs, you had your first interaction with another race, and I was like, these not the Naga, what is going on? And they were humans. I was like, okay, so humans make sense in a fantasy game, okay. And they hated the orcs, and I was like, why? What did he do to you? And keep him remember, this was my first entrance to Warcraft. I don't read the books, I don't play the other games. So for me, this was new. So at this point in particular, I get the quest, Grommer Shellscream, one of our great leaders of the Warthrong clan, is captured by the humans. And of course, you do what an orc do and just capture and rescue your boys. And you build your ground up. What I loved about Warcraft 3 was to build your base, and I'll be honest with you, then you're my community or listener. I was not playing fair. I used some resource cheats, and I love to build bases, and I want to get a big base. Even if it's just for one mission, but I want to get a big base. So I used some cheats that were on an old website. I don't even know if this exists anymore, where you have more like your big resource. You had all of their god mode, anything. But I only want to resource and that it produce faster. You know, that I can have big army. You know, like you've seen Lord of the Rings, a big orc army that ramps up to the human camp and just annihilates it. I mean, I was the orcs, I was the warriors, the war incarnate. And you go then up to the humans, and they look pretty cool though. And I was like, oh, for humans, pretty cool. Okay. So we kill these humans and free Grommer Shellscream. And he's like, Thrall, my brother, thank you for freeing me. I was captured by them, and thank you for all of this. And I really love Grommer Shellscream. I say to this day, he was second place of liking orcs. I loved this guy. He was like pure power and war. I mean, makes sense as the Warsong leader. So then Thor's like, yeah, we need ships and we need to go sail, but I don't know how to do this. And Grom's like, good that you asked, my brother. We have there some human ships. Let's go. And you got me off. And you be off. And then the troll was over, and I was like, okay, that was fast. So the next thing is then the troll land, right? And then something surprisingly happened to me. We were cut off from the orcs and switched into the human campaign. And I was like, wait a minute, there's more than one. The humans, okay, that seems interesting, but who's this blonde guy and who is Arthas? And you get into Arthas' origin story, and from there I think like, how long will this game be when there will different campaigns switching between orcs and humans? Oh boy, did I not know what I was into. So we start with Arthas, and I liked Arthas, but he was like, how do I point this? I like characters that have something shady to them, but also try the right thing. And Arthas' story was basically always like, he tries the right thing, but he is always too late. So we, with Uther, who I really liked in the human campaign, see these orcs that try to summon demons. And I was like, wait a minute. That's not my orcs. We left this country. So this like people who stayed behind and do some sketchy stuff, and we get out that the orcs basically have some, let's say, evil characters in the whole horde. And Arthas and Ufa investigators and free the people of, I think, was it Stranbrad? I'm not sure, but I think it was Stranbrad. So basically we go in there, we just, Ufa is defending the camp, we go as Arthas in there and, you know, smash the skulls and rescue people, and yeah, you saved my son. I am Prince Arthas Menethil, and I'm here to save you. And we kill the orc leader, and Arthas says to Uta, Uther, these orcs try to summon demons. This is not good. And Uther's like, it's fine, my boy. They try to, their demons are long gone. There's no happening that they coming back. And at this point, with having Thrall's tutorial in your mind, you're like, oh, so the whole demon comes back to Earth is like the big thing that will happen. Okay, so after Arthur's missions, I was like, so back to the, oh, no, there's more. And then something happened what I was not thinking about. So we, as Arthas, investigate something, a plague that is happening in Northland, in the northern human lands. And I think, okay, some sketchy orcs just fought it and probably plagued the humans. But then we meet first up with Jaina Proudmoore, and then we find out they are undeads, and they plague the land. I was like, there are undeads in this? Next thing you tell me there are vampires in this game. Probably they don't have vampires, but however. So the undeads just rampant and attack the people, and we investigate that basically the stuff that you make bread out of it and stuff. I think it was the wheat that was infected. The wheat that was infected. So they infected the whole resources of making bread into basically a sort of infectious plague, and you think like, okay, that's bad. We need to save the people before they eat it. But we find out that basically we find first the necromancer that did all this. Yeah, I think we find him first, and we be like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Kel'Thuzad, my boy. My master sees everything, and he know that you came. And Arthur's like, oh, then he sees that I kill you now. And he kills him, and in his last words, he's like, you play perfectly in the hands of the master, and then dies. So I was, at this point of the story, totally into this dark and, oh my goodness, undead necromancy. Let's motherfucking go. I mean, I was in my goth phase. I was totally into this shit. And then we come back and we get out and we go to the city of Andorhal and find out they already eaten this shit. And then we find out that this plague should not kill the people, but rather turn them into undeads. So full-fledged zombie outbreak. And then the whole Battle of Andorhal happens, and oh my goodness, this was epic. You needed to just survive until Uta's mighty paladins come in, and damn, that was a battle. I'm saying this was something else. This was so cool. It was battle, it was gore, it was thunder. And after that, Arthas, our boy, our main character here, is so traumatized from the whole battle that he cannot even hold his breath. Like, Uther, I killed, but they were so many. And he was like, calm down, my boy. The battle is over. We have won. And Arthur's like, no, you don't understand. there is someone out there who besides Cthulhu, who manipulates stuff and all of this. And Arthur just says the whole wheat of the country is infected, and there were like storages that was shipped to a Pacific instance. Wait, so that I don't pronounce it wrong. Okay, so Stratholme were infected, and this was the point where it braked. So we get some intermission with Jaina and also Arthas, where they meet the prophet again that meted our good boy Thrall, and says, "Give this land up. It's over. This is a lost ground." And of course, Arthur has nothing of it, you know. And he is like, "No, wizard, I am not giving up my people." And I even at this point said, he's right. Arthur cannot give up his people. What? Hey, you're just a stranger who tried the same shit at the king and at the start of the game campaign. And we then go to Stratholme, and oh boy, shit is going to be crazy now. So Arthur looks about the city and says, "Oh no, we are too late. They are infected by now. Soon they will turn into undead monsters." And Uta, who don't know at this point what happens, is, "What are you saying, Arthas?" And Arthas says, "This city must be purged. All of them." And at this point, Arthas was, after traumatizing, into madness. And Uther and also Jaina says, "I am having none of this." Like, Uther, his mentor, his father figure, says, "I will tell your father of this. I am not of your murder here." And Jaina, who basically were a love interest of Arthas and also long-time friend, says, "I cannot follow this path, Arthas. I can do this darkness." So the next thing you do is basically play the Culling of Stratholme, where you actually do this. You just go in there and kill people. You go in there and murder people. Infected or not, undead or not, you murder them. You rip their buildings down, you slaughter all of them before the demon announces and said, "I am Mal'Ganis, and I will take this city for me, young prince. You can do nothing against me." And yeah, Arthas kills nearly the whole city and meets up with Mal'Ganis. You have a little battle with them, and then Mal'Ganis just dips out and say, "Well, when you want to kill me, follow me in the cold regions of Northrend." And he just teleports away, and you have then Arthas totally broken, mind broken, and says, "I will follow you to the end of the world when I have to." And he does this. So we see then in a cutscene, days later, Uther and Jaina seeing the bloodbath that Arthas did there, and be like, "Jaina, did he say something? Where did the boy take the fleet?" And we could think that he don't tell Jaina, but yeah, he did. He probably had a talk with Jaina and said, and she says, "Northrend, Uther. He's taking them to Northrend." And Jaina, and we have the whole scene with Uther, who says like, "I'm so sorry, Jaina," and Uther goes off, and then the prophet comes again to Jaina and tries the same thing on her, and she is actually listening. She says, she's actually listening. We then cut away. And then we come to Northrend. Oh boy, a new continent? Wow. So we had snow, we had coldness, we had ice rolls, and we had a limited amount of troops there. So basically we then go up this hill and we meet a dwarf. And who it is Muradin, Arthur's old mentor in battle. So we meet with Muradin, and we say we hunt a demon and undeads. And Muradin's like, I think you are our rescue. And he's like, no, I don't even know you were out here. So, what? Did the king not even send someone? Wow. King Tyrannus Malfoy was cruel though. Dude, ukes. However, we had then in conversation with Muradin, and Muradin says, when you want to kill this undead, then there is a relic that our archaeologists basically are searching. And it's a blade of unknown power. And of course, Arthur's how he is, wants to get this blade. He says, I'm killing it. That is the blade I will kill with it. So we have then the whole scene with Arthur's come back after they battle they rescued some dwarves from the undead, and then come back and people just packing. They're just saying, we are out here. King Tyrannus orders back. And Arthur's like, what the fuck you just say? Remember, at this point, the whole Arthur story basically indulges with, how do I say this, with a sheer amount of madness, with fear, with loss, with anger. So he does something I remember to this day. He gets some mercenaries, destroys all the ships, and then as the troops meet up with him, he's like, Prince Arthur, what's going on here? Our ships. And he's like, he looks to the mercenary and says, oh no, this mercenary has killed destroyed our ships that we can go home. And the soldiers go mad and they just slaughter the mercenaries, and holy shit, how fucking dark do you want it? Old Blizzard, here you have it. And basically you go back to your camp and search the blade with Muradin, and you find it. And Muradin reads that when someone takes this blade, as soon as you cut flesh with it, it cuts your soul. So Muradin says, no, this is a cursed blade, we should go off, we should not do this. But Arthur says the following thing, and I think the last thing we heard about from the old Arthurs, and says, I will take every curse to save my people. And he takes the blade. An ice shard pierces Muradin. We at the time think he was dead. Then, yeah, up to Warcraft, World of Warcraft was Lich King, we don't know he survived. So we take the blade, he takes the blade, we come out alone, and now we are going on our killing spree. So we slash with our Chaos Blade, we murder the undead, and then we come before Morganis. And Morganis says, you taken up the cursed blade. This blade is the blade of the king of the undead. Tell me, boy, what is he telling you? And Arthur say, he tells me that it's time for my revenge, for my vengeance. He tells me that it's time for you to die. And the Morganis are like, what? No! And bam, dead. And we get this little texture, there's a little texture, Arthur's, what happens to Arthur, and then we see a cutscene. And oh boy, we see Arthur's marching in with new gear, dark, edgy gear, with plates on his kneecaps, with little skulls, with big shoes. He looks like death itself at this moment, and he comes in, and with guarding side by side with some of the necromancers he has now, and the king is so blinded by his whole naivete, being naive, and he's like, my son, welcome back. And then he's like, what are you doing, my son? And Arthur's just like, succeeding you, father. And then he kills his father. And we have the camera angle where the bloody crown rolls on to the ground, and then Arthur's ominous voice says, "This kingdom will be reborn out from the ashes," and that's it. And a little hint for everyone: World of Warcraft Classic, Burning Crusade. Basically, every World of Warcraft player, if you play Classic or a live game, when you go into the throne room of Lordaeron, you have even the blood stain on the ground where the crown landed. And when you listen closely to the behind music and the behind sound kulisse, you have basically the whole scene playing out of it again. And it was so cool. It was so dope. But we come to in episode 1 to in this. So now we are getting the end of the human campaign. I was like, oh boy, how are they topping this now? I mean, the orcs are cool and all, but how are they topping this now? And then something happened. I was not aware of it again. They open up and we see undeads. I was like, what? What are you telling to me? We are not going back to the orcs? And then you have the undead campaign. And the undead campaign is basically Arthur's, but on drugs. Like, you have a time skip of some weeks, months, whatever, and you get summoned and as Arthur's, the undead Death Knight now, before a Dreadlord again. And you'd be like, oh, you motherfucker, no. And it's not Mal'Ganis, of course, it's someone else of them. And he says, yeah, my boy, you did a totally good job playing in our hands. And now you just go on and kill the rest of your people, right? And Arthur at this point is no longer the man we know at the cutscene. He is a fully fledged evil and fallen character now. So what we do is we need to resurrect Kel'Thuzad, and he was the master of the Code of Damned, and kill every living thing. And oh boy, how I like to be the bad guy. So we basically kill everything. Children, women, men, innocents, foot soldiers. We be death. We be the undead death that comes to you and raises up to you and stuff. And you even can raise death from the ground. And dude, it was so great. And at this point, the whole story around the undead is like, find Kel'Thuzad's I say corpses, and then put it into a special urn. And yeah, that was part 1. So you find Kel'Thuzad, you try to resurrect him with your undead power, but he only gets resurrected as a ghost, and only you can see him, but you have some special connection to him. And he says, don't tell I'm here. The Dreadlords would not believe you, and I will guide you. And then you get back the urn. And I love dramatics. So we getting the urn, and none other than freaking Uther is guarding it. So Uther survived until this day, and well, student or former student versus former master and friend and father figure. So they battle, and Uther takes the blade, and basically he says, I hope you have there's a special place in hell for you, Arthas. And Arthur says, who knows, maybe we find never out. I am on to live forever. And he kills Uther. At this point, I was surprised that he don't raise Uther as an undead and made him to his Death Knight as well. But we come to this in the Shadowland bit, so yeah. However, we then get the urn, and surprise, surprise, it's the urn of our father's ashes. And we just pull out the ashes and like, got the fuck out of here, father, and put into the then Kel'Thuz's, like, you know, make a little boba tea, and he is in there. So then the next goal is what the Dreadlord says to us, like, now you need to go to the Elverlands and use their power, the well of the sun, to resurrect the Lich. And that's what we do. And oh boy, we coming close to someone special meetup. So we go into the Elvenlands and be like, well, okay. We go in there and fight against the Elven, against the High Elves. And they be a challenge for the undead, but especially some Ranger General and my favorite character of the whole undead stuff. So we meet the first time Sylvanas Windrunner, and she basically fights against us. And she's so clever. She always pushes back or slows down, and she knows, okay, we will come to her. And Arthas gets angry by the time then this woman poses a fucking threat to him, the undead death. So he is basically going forward more and more and more, and then the invasion of basically Silvermoon happens and the battle begins. Sylvanas is basically the Dragon General, so she is the leader of the army, and then it goes on. Boys, it goes on. The battle is cruel, but Sylvanas gets killed, and Arthas is so annoyed by her that he raises her as to the first Banshee. And then you get new units called the Banshees, and you can possess enemy units. Oh boy, I love the Banshee units. So let me get this straight before we go further in the story. The possessing of units were cool, but when you play Warcraft 3 or Reforged, it works in both. Try to possess a worker. This is a life hack. So try to possess any worker of any race. You then can build every building of that race. So, for example, you have a peon, you be an undead player, you possess the peon is not yours, and then you go back to your base or where you want to build, and you can start producing orcs as an undead race. Dude, I always did this. And also, when you possess a high elf worker, you can only build some towers and also some units, like the barracks you can build, and you can have some elven units, and I had so many fun with this. So then you enter and kill Silvermoon, and you put the urn into the sunwell. It corrupts, and out of it came Kel'Thuzad, my favorite evil lich of all time. So he then says, it's good to be back. You did well, Arthas. Now come for the next steps of the plan. And Arthas had enough. He says, I want to know now what is the plan. And they go to an icy mountain and talk about the whole stuff, and that the undead king tries to probably revolt against the whole stuff, you know? And the next thing what we have to do is basically summon Archimonde. So we invade Dalaran, we kill Dalaran, we kill Antonidas, we have a battle. We have Sylvanas, and what you do is basically you get the Book of Medivh. And with this book, you summon in Archimon, and then you get a cutscene, basically the end of the Undead campaign, and he kills the Dalaran. Think about this. You don't know that this has survived now. So Dalaran is dead, and the Legion is in full swing. So this is the end of the Undead campaign. I was like, wow. So this is how it happens. This is how the world goes under. And then you go back to your orcs, and I was like, damn. That's a hard cut, though. So the softy orcs come. The orcs find the trolls. They make them to their allies. Kill the sea witch. I love the part that we actually killed her and stuff. And then they go to Kalimdor and basically find a new home and meet the Thron. And I loved Cairn. And he was one of the most nice and wisdom and most knowledge people. So Thrall and Cairn become good friends and brothers even, and they try to get a footholding, help the Taurans by killing the Centaur and make a home for them, and basically you start to build your base. You start to build Durotar 1.0. So you send out Grommash Hellscream, and Grommash Hellscream's like, okay boys, we need some wood. Time to cut some woody woods. And these forests are elven forests, not high elven, but night elven. And the orcs are like being like scared. Oh my goodness, that's spirits. I can cut ghosts and stuff. And we start cutting down trees. And the night elves try to push us back, but they are nothing against the orcs. Even not with the little people they are at the moment at the battlefield. So we try them back and stuff, and then something big happens. The half-god, or the nature god Cenarius, comes and just smacks us around. And then Grommash Hellscream gets a call from his ex-girlfriend, the Demon Blood, and who else calls him? The Blood of Manoroth. And he is getting to a source of a corrupted Nightwell that has Manoroth's blood in it, and he thinks this is just some elven power, so he drinks it, and the orcs get again to be a enslaved demonic race. Red orcs, by the way, looking fantastic. I love the red orcs. I really hope someday you can have some customization options in World of Warcraft where you can have red orcs. And basically, you be now a demonic orc and you kill Cenarius. You basically kill a god. And Thrall, who now meets with the Taurans, be like, yeah, we need to go to the oracle. It was foretold me there we get answers. And you meet in the oracle Jaina Proudmoore again. First there is tensions, but then the prophet, who turns out to be Medivh, the last guardian of Azeroth, says the demons are coming, orcs and humans cannot survive alone, you need to work together. And Thrall, who is basically raised by a human, says like, oh, I'm okay, we can talk about, I'm diplomatic, I know. And Jaina's like, okay, would be hard to convince my people, but I think when I say Medivh said them, they are on board. So they talk with them, back and forth, and make an alliance, or even a little alliance between orcs and humans. And then an orcish, I think, like ranger camps in and says, yeah, by the way, Grommash Hellscream has gone rogue and he has taken on Demon Blood and is now working for the Burning Legion. By the way, that's the whole demon things. And Thrall and Jaina work on a tactic to free him basically from the demons. So we capture him in a campaign, in a mission, and free him from the corruption. For now. And then the Orcish campaign blasts off with Thrall, Grommash Hellscream, and Manoroth having a 2 versus 1. And in a dramatic and sad manner, Grommash Hellscream kills Manoroth, but takes the explosion and is deadly wounded. So he's on the ground. Thrall is wounded too, but not as deadly as Grommash. And he says like, Thrall, now I am free. And so it's like, as Grommash dies, no, brother, we are all free. And screams a sad scream into this darkened sky. And it was emotional, and I liked this. I liked really the Orc campaign. I really loved the Orc campaign. And then we get a new race again, the Night Elves. And I was like, we can play as elves. Okay, cool. So we meet Tyrande. Oh, Tyrande. And basically what we get out of this is that the Night Elves was the oldest race and who fights longest against the Legion, and the Legion are now here. They are at Kalimdor. They're invading, and they're fighting it off. And Tyrande is like their leader at the moment. So she tries to rally her peoples to even get her lover, Malfurion, out of his nap time. And he's like, oh my goodness, what happened, my love? And yeah, the Legion is here. But even with them, even with all the druids, even with all the with the wild creatures, even with all the sentinels, they don't stand a chance. And so Tyrande does something she will regret later on. She goes into the Night Elven prison, slaughtering all the guards, and comes to the betrayer, Illidan. I love Illidan, by the way. And he basically says, oh, Tyrande, what are you doing? You should not be here down here. Maiev would be mad. And she opens his cage and says, your race needs you. Your people needs you. Please come with us. The Legion is back. And he's like, I don't give a F word for the Night Elves. I only care for you. And he flat out is like, I'm in love with you and stuff. And it turns out that Illidan is the brother of Malfurion, and he says, I will kill this Legion or this demons, but not for our race, not for our people, for you and only you. And then I'm gone. And he goes on and finds the skull of Gul'dan. So you know who Gul'dan is. I don't know it at the time who Gul'dan were. So he absorbs the Gul'dan, becomes a full-fledged demon or half demon, call it what you want, and annihilates the troops of the undeads. And later on, then he's just going off and says goodbye. I'm out of here. And then the Night Elves just team up with the basically orcs and humans, and they prepare for the final act. So we have an intermission then. We have a intermission. I think this intermission happens between. It needs to happen between. Am I right? So Arthas. Yeah. So Arthas and Illidan meet. They have a battle, and then they say, "Yeah." This was before the. That was before the Skull of Gul'dan. Arthas points Illidan in the right direction. To like, yeah, they have the Skull of Gul'dan, and you can take it to destroy them. And by proxy, Arthas gets rid of the Dead Lord who command him all the time. So yeah, that was the thing. Right. And then basically the Night Elves team up with the humans and the orcs, and then as a as a 3-part alliance, they fight against Archimonde, and Archimonde's goal is to get to the World Tree and absorb his power to become unstoppable. So the Night Elves does something what unto this day I say is brave, and I give them credit. I give the nice credit for this. They basically be how do you tell it? They basically they can die by old age. You know, they are immortal, and you can kill a night elf with a blade or stuff, but they are immortal they can die on old age or any kind of stuff like this. So my theory is to throw away the whole immortality of the night elves, and you basically must fight then with all three fractions. So you start off with the humans. You try to stop the waves. Then you port away, and then you stop again with the orcs fighting. Then with the night elves, and then you get a cutscene where basically Archimonde climbs up to the tree, tries to absorb it, and the spirits of old, like the spirits of the night elves, come to him in billions of spirits, and kill him. And that's the end, basically, of Warcraft 3, the Reign of Chaos. There are stuff in there that I let beside, of course, but yeah, that was basically the story of Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos. Now we come to another part of Warcraft 3, and Warcraft 3 was not dead yet. But let us just tell first. Let me give you a review, like a summary of the Warcraft 3 story and how I liked it. So I really liked it a lot. I liked the darkness in it. I liked the chaos in it. I liked the whole dramatic in it. And to be honest with you, my first attempt was, I want to be in this world. I want to explore it. I want to fight demons. I want to, let me in there. Just let me jump in there. I was totally embraced with it. I loved this game. I loved the story, and I was like, damn, if there were just a game that you could just play your own character and just explore beyond the fog of war. And we all know this game, but patience, a little one. We are only episode 0, and we go now on to the first, drumroll please, add-on of Warcraft 3, the Frozen Throne. And oh boy, as I found out there was an add-on, I was like, well baby, call me back in, I'm back baby. And you start off with the Night Elves. I was like, oh, Night Elves, okay. So what have their new stories to tell in the Night Elves? And you play Maiev. And the difference between Warcraft Reign of Chaos and Frozen Throne were a big specific one. Less building, more focus on the story, more focus on the characters. So less building. I like this. I really think that Warcraft 3 really had, how do I say it? It really were a good decision that you focus on the story, and the story was a really hard point at this moment. So you play as Maiev, and Maiev is basically the, let's say, the main guardian of Illidan. And oh boy, we're hunting the boy now. So we search Illidan, and Kelso Priest, the Nagas are back. Okay. So we kill the fish people and find out that Illidan and the Nagas are now working together, and that Illidan tries to get the eye of Sargeras to do some sketchy things. And of course, we cannot let this happen. The world has trembled before the Legion again. Now Illidan tries to go rogue. Okay, no, we don't let this happen. So we go in there, we fight, we try to stop Illidan. We stop Illidan even so. And basically, what Illidan did, he ripped a crack into the throne of the Lich King. And Illidan then fights... Illidan just fights again with us and tries to pull us off. Then Malfurion and Tyrande helps us, and Oh boy. Illidan gets away. And Malfurion and Tyrande find out that he is go to the Eastern Kingdoms again, to the human kingdoms. And we go back there, Arthenides, I might say, and be in the front of the undead. Then this whole kingdom, as you remember, was consumed by the undead. And we find out that Illidan, what he really tried. He tried to kill the Lich King so that the undeads no longer be a thing. And Maiev just lied to Malfurion, while she is so possessed by getting revenge on Illidan. Oh boy. So Maiev gets captured and says, Malfurion says, you stand here after I decide about your faith. And the thing is, why Malfurion does this is that Maiev had let Tyrande, quote unquote, die, and she told a lie that Tyrande was before her eyes ripped in half by the undeads, and what is not the case. She just was dragged away, and her whole liar stuff comes out, and Malfurion and Illidan teams up. The druid, the aspect of nature, and the demon, half demon of chaos, teams up to find their beloved Tyrande and to rescue Tyrande. And Maiev is basically there where we put her, and and she's like, Tyrande were the one who just freed Illidan. Without her, this could have not happened. And at this point, Malfurion even says to Illidan, you know what? I forgive you for everything, my brother, but never come here again. Never come here in this world again. And Illidan says, okay, fair enough. I'm okay with this. So Illidan opens the portal and goes into Outland. And Maiev cuts herself free and follows him. You know, the hunter hunting her prey will never end. So Maiev basically then, her story has ended, and we are back with the undead. I think undead. Wasn't the undead? Or was it the blood elves? Basically the human fraction. I think it was the undead, wasn't it? No, it was the blood elves. Okay, so what I have missed you to tell is that the night elves meet the blood elves, and they are in some sort of exodus. You play as Keltas, and you basically try to find a magic source by your people hungers after the destruction of the Sunwell. So there is now racist stuff in there too. So Gyarados, that human piece of garbage, sees the blood elves just as a tool, and he is totally racist against them and be like abusing them and stuff. And after they rebelled against him and all of them, they are up to for execution. Then human first, the rest are just foot soldiers and tools. So the Naga of freaking Illidan frees Keltas and says, yeah, we were night elves too, and high elves and highborn ones too, and your bloodline were highborn too, so we're helping. And we have someone who can help you, and this is our Lord Illidan. He has power even greater than the Sunwell. And Kelta's like, Illidan, the betrayer, okay, I mean, I've seen his powers, and you are not wrong here. Okay, so we need to free my people before we leave this human world. And we freeing the people, we play as blood elves and Naga and free the blood elves and stuff, and become then part of Illidan's crew. And yeah, we even rescue Illidan from Maiev, who at this point in time has captured him. So basically, we help him, we free him, and we basically conquer Outland. We seal away Magtheridon. We seal away the demon portals that came from demon worlds into the Outlands, and Illidan is now the ruler of Outland. But what we don't know yet, he was a pawn of the demon lord Kil'jaeden. So Kil'jaeden, like from the power level like Archimond, comes in, swooped in a red dust of fire and dust, and says, "You think you could run away and stuff? You have a mission to do, Illidan. Destroy the Lich King. He rebelled against us." And Illidan tells then his whole story, that Kil'jaeden came to him and said that when he not will get killed by the power of the Legion, he better basically go and do what he said, and he basically wanted to try to eradicate the Frozen Throne. How the add-on is named, by the way. And he tried with the Eye of the Zagreus, but he only made a crack in it. And now Illidan's whole goal is just to get to your freedom, destroy the Frozen Throne. And that's where the whole campaign of the Blood of End. And now, at the final frontier, or nearly final frontier, we come back to the Undead. Yes, the Undead are back. And we are in the let's say, gardens of Lordaeron, where the Dreadlords are plotting, and we see Kel'Thuzad and a night elf, some elf, who is with him. And as soon as you see who he is talking to, I was just jumping out of my chair. I was like, yes, she is now a playable character. Yes, a hero character. Yes, Sylvanas Windrunner is there, and Kel'Thuzad and her having a chit chat about that Arthas is long gone, and the Dreadlords ruled the Scourge to the ground at this point. So Arthas and Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas look down, and the gate starts banging, like bang, 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 like someone is trying to break through. And even Red's like, who is foolish enough to go into the capital? What the fuck? And who comes through is Arthas. The man's back. Our man is back. The king of Lordaeron has returned to claim the throne. And he tells what happened to Hyjal, to Mount Hyjal, to Archimond. These Dreadlords didn't know that the Legion has fallen. So they pull back, and Arthur meets up with his buddy, Kel'Thuzad, and his frenemy now, Sylvanas, and basically, take control of the Scourge. I'm not joking here. So they are about we make a mission where we kill the last remaining humans and stuff, and Arthas gets a critical strike, but nothing had hit him. So he then sees a vision of a armor in ice, and the Lich King himself, Ner'zhul, say, "Return the blade, close the circle." And our level, that was at level 10, falls down to 8. And you're like, what the fuck? And later in the story, it is basically possessed that the Lich King is losing power and control over the Scourge. And the Dreadlords know this now. They want to eradicate Prince Arthas, and he is a not predictable force that they cannot control. So basically, Prince Arthas tries to escape, but he is reminded then that he basically made enemies inside his own ranks, so he gets hit by a dark arrow, and Sylvanas tries to kill him. And would have Kel'Thuzad not come to his aid at this moment, Arthas would have killed. He was not movable, and Sylvanas was like, okay, this would be fun. No, you don't get an easy death. You get, like I did, a horrible and instant death. And then Kel'Thuzad, with his big monstrosities and his magic, drives the Banshees that they're now on Sylvanas' side away, and gets Arthas on the ship, gives him a smack on the back, and say, "My king, I will watch over the kingdom, have no doubt." And Arthas go into the sail to Northrend again, and meantime Sylvanas is working on basically making her own faction, the Forsaken. So she is basically so dominant that she punches a dreadlord into submission, Varimatras, one of the three dreadlords who have plotted against Arthas, and says, "You know what, Varimatras, I could kill you at any moment now. The undeads follow me, so I give you this. Follow me and help me to kill your brothers, or die here and then." And Varimatras like, just, "No, I don't kill my brothers against the rule of the dreadlords." "Oh, you won't die then? Okay." And he said, "Oh, no, I like my skin where it is." So Sylvanas' plotline is she overtakes Lordaeron. Kel'Thuzad is only in the eastern plague lands now. He just at his biggest powerhouse, so when you want it like this. And Kel'Thuzad, like at his oldest powerhouse, he's like chilling out there at the necropolis of Nazramas. And Sylvanas overtakes freaking Lordaeron. So how is she doing this? She kills the dreadlords, uses Gyarados, who is still there. The racist bitch is still there, but he thinks when this undead bitch, how he's called, he calls her, is done with freeing the grounds, he then just can kill her and become the king of Lordaeron. But no. So Sylvanas kills Balnazzar and Deathoroth. And then Vermat's like, I hated to do your order, Sylvanas. I hate to kill my brothers. And then it's like, do you have forgotten someone? And she points to Gyarados, and she's like, kill him too. And he's like, oh, with pleasure. And Gyarados, what? That. I hated Gyarados for this. Believe me, he's an asshole. So then we cut away to Arthas, our boy. So he has arrived at Northrend, and the stronger Scourge is now commanding at his device, and he meets up with a, let's say, Crypt Lord called Anub'arak. And Anub'arak is basically old. He is basically one of the first creation of Undead. And he is loyal to Lich King. So Anub'arak and Arthas having a long way, and I'm telling you, this was a long freaking mission where you just go to the fucking dungeon and try to not die, where you're getting weaker and weaker. But then we arrive at the Frost Throne, and the Lich King gives us as much as the power he can, and we're back at level 10. And then, after fighting against Illidan's forces, then they appear up there somehow. There is the coolest cinematic cutscene in Warcraft 3. Arthas versus Illidan, the rematch, but in a cinematic thing. So you see like Illidan is slashing against Frostmourne, Blade Swung, they are singing, and Illidan does I think the stupidest thing he ever did in a fight thing. He jumps up, and Arthas, a trained swordsman, pulls up the blade and slashes him about the chest. By the way, Illidan is the only thing that survived a deadly slash from Frostmourne. Just saying. So Arthas then claims the throne, and he hears all his voices from his path. He has heard all his voice from the path. His father, Uther. And he's like, it's like you have goosebumps at this moment. it's like you basically feel something pretty epic is to happen and something really bad is to happen. So he climbs up the stairs of the Frost Throne. He hears, "What are you doing, my son?" And go on and go on and go on and go on and go on. And then he stands before the throne and the Lich King says, "Put the blade back. Close the circle." And Arthas slashes the ice and puts on the helmet of the Lich King and basically become the Lich King. As we know him from Warcraft, when World of Warcraft was the Lich King. He became basically one with the Lich King. Sat down on his throne of ice and said, and that is it. That's it. The end of the Frozen Throne. But wait, there's bonus. But we came to it. The bonus at the moment is basically not that big of a part of the Arthas and Frozen Throne story, but it happens somewhere in the timeline. So after Arthas had took the Frozen Throne, basically the Scourge stops attacking. And Arthas lays dormant on the throne and sleeps here, like Yllis. And then it ends. We have Arthas now as the Lich King. And with this ends Warcraft 3. The end of Warcraft 3. But there's more. Of course, there's always more. So we have a bonus. And like you see, we had undeads, we had humans, we had niders. So the orcs are having a little chapter here of seeing how Durtan's found. We get the first time Rokan and Shen Storms out and Rexa, and they fight against the humans, the marines of basically some sort. Jaina's father, by the way. And Jaina and Thrall be basically at this point friends. They have established friendship, and you could even say some people would say they are love more than friends. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, Jaina's father is not amused, and he comes from Kultiras, who has fought against a cruel creature that are called orcs. So he's like, "I have nothing out of it, young lady. I will basically kill these orcs." And at this point, it's not even funny. It's more sad. It's more sad than anything else. So Thrall and his whole troops are too big for the admiral. So Thrall rallies his troops as they tried so much to talk with Admiral Proudmoore, and Jaina stays out of the fight. She doesn't help his father, and she's like, "No, I will not do this." And Dallin Proudmoore gets killed by the orcs. That's why in Battle for Azeroth, people hate Jaina. She doesn't help. She just let her people die. And remember, Jaina comes from Kultiras. So she, by some sort, was a traitor. She just said, "No, I want truly freedom between orcs and humans. When you need to go out of the picture, then I will cry and I will mourn your death." And yeah, this is the end of the orc campaign. Like I said, a little bit of campaign. But yeah, this was episode 0. And we talk now about the whole Warcraft 3 as a whole, and why it was my entrance into the greatest world that has to come now. Remember, that will come in the next episode. Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos and Frozen Throne was one of the best storytelling games I have ever played. Ever. So for a lot of people it would be like, yeah, but Witcher 3 was not existing at this moment, guys. It was not existing. Warcraft 3 was one of the intensest, why not craziest storytelling games that were out there. So I know some of you guys wonder why I skipped out of World of Warcraft. We will come to this. And I will give you my summary of everything what had happened and why I skipped out of basically Warcraft, World of Warcraft. But I followed the story. I always love the story. I don't care who the writer is. I be older now and no longer so naive to believe as there's only one story to tell. But more and more I get the doubt that the actual story writing head at the moment can do a good story. I hope, but so to end Warcraft 3's review, it was a great game. It was a fantastic game. It was for his time an ambitious game with a story that was so vast, so big, so thick, so massive. That has gotten onto your skin. You identified with the characters. You saw Arthas, who has fallen to the darkness by trying to at least do anything to save his people as a prince. And by proxy killed them. He was the one thing he tried to destroy. And I give you this. And you can think about this. Arthas were the Anakin of his time. I always say this. Anakin Skywalker and Arthas Menethil are basically the same story, but different storylines. Anakin was the chosen one, the ritter of the light side of the Force, who fought to save the ones he loved. Arthas was the paladin of the light side, tried to save the ones he loved, and then turned into the darkness. And when you look at the undead Arthas, he had so much comparison to Vader, to basically, even later when he becomes a Lich King, he is so much Vader-like. And think about this. Anakin's story was always to be, I want to save my woman, Padme, and I will do everything for it. And when you think about this, yeah, but is there more parallels between Art and Anakin? Yes. Think about Uther and Obi-Wan. Two mentors who basically be so similar that they even have the same beard cut. And so, to some extent, even the same haircut. So, I have seen the parallels. And think about this now. It makes so much sense that Warcraft that Warcraft took inspiration from the journey of Star Wars. And even when did Warcraft 3 came out? Warcraft 3 Warcraft 3 release date 2022. 2023 came the Frozen Throne. Even when they not took inspiration from the episode 1 and 2, they took inspiration from Star Wars. And the actually source material that was there at the time, like comics, like books and stuff. I could see that. And boy oh boy, that's why I loved it. I love being a big Star Wars nerd, and I love Star Wars. I love Final Fantasy, I love Marvel, I love DC, I love World of Warcraft. Or the Warcraft genre in general. And I have loved these parallels and this comparison. Then they both these characters be such iconic characters. And yeah, I just say this. Up to this day, the orcs will always be my favorites, then the undeads, then the humans, then the night elves from Warcraft 3. Later on in World of Warcraft, this little ladder will change, just saying. But yeah, I really loved all of them. And I hope you guys loved what we're doing here with the review of World of Warcraft and some, like I said today, episode 0, Warcraft 3. So yeah, I hope this little bit of an review gives you an inspiration where I come from when I say I love World of Warcraft, I love Warcraft, and I hope you will stay with me when we go into Warcraft Classic, World of Warcraft Classic, or Vanilla, or whatever you call it, and I were there, this launched, and oh boy, I have stories to tell about this stuff. Whoo! Believe me, I'm just saying this. I were at the early stages of World of Warcraft Classic, and boy, oh boy, that would be funny. But yeah, I thank you for your coming with me on this story. I wish you a wonderful day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. And for the Horde. There, I said it. For the Horde. Until then, goodbye.